Ever known of an animal the size of a cat, as quick as a deer, and so camouflaged that even scientists struggle to spot it? Meet the mouse deer, Southeast Asia's most mysterious and underappreciated animal. This small, hoofed animal, despite its tiny size, is creating ripples all over Southeast Asia these days for one unexpected reason: farming. Yes, you are correct, mouse deer farming. What started as a conservation program has now turned into a precious and unusual farm business. In different parts of Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines, the farmers are raising these little mammals in thousands. And the reasons behind it may surprise you. They're not only bred for their meat, they're also being studied for their environmental worth and even used for domestic environmental tourist activities, with the need for sustainable and alternative livestock. As the population increases, the mouse deer is now a symbol of innovation. In this video, we will explore the secret life of mouse deer farming, revealing how these shy forest creatures are being bred, why they're so highly sought after, and what their success says about the future of sustainable and niche farming in Asia. Stay tuned, because this is a tale that's small in stature, but huge in significance. The peculiar and ancient mouse deer. Let's begin at the start. What is a mouse deer anyway? Although it is named a mouse deer, the mouse deer is not a rodent nor an actual deer. It belongs to an ancient and uncommon family of animals referred to as Tragulidae. This family of mammals is the most ancient of all the hoofed mammals and has well over 30 million years of history. It's a living fossil, an animal that has survived colossal environmental change and predator adaptation without itself changing very much. It lacks horns, antlers, yet survives on stealth and speed. Its heart beats faster than any other animal in its category, so that it can run for cover at the slightest sign of danger. The Tragulus canchil, or lesser mouse deer, is the most prevalent species that can be found in Southeast Asia. They are 2 to 5 kilograms light and 18 inches short in height. They possess long, thin legs, tiny hooves, and large, observant eyes, the very characteristics that enable the animal to disappear in the thick cover in mere seconds. They are extremely shy, nearly nocturnal, and nearly soundless. For generations, local villagers hunted them in the wild to eat or use as medicine, but no human ever laid eyes on them alive. They were elusive and legendary, a halfway point between fact and myth. The mouse deer is also depicted mythologically as cunning and intelligent, able to outwit its larger enemies such as tigers and crocodiles. Its presence in myth attests to its importance in culture throughout the centuries. Its real-life comeback story today might even be more interesting than its myths, from jungle shadows to rural farms. The number of mouse deer began declining in the wild due to hunting and habitat loss. Their natural habitat, close-knit underbrush in tropical rainforests, was being destroyed at a rapid pace. Conservationists began sounding the alarm, and governments began implementing hunting bans and quotas. At the same time, rural settlements that hunted mouse deer for centuries began to notice an unusual trend. The meat of mouse deer, lean, tasty, and a delicacy, was being sold in the market for growing sums of money. As the population in the wild was dwindling and the demand remained, a question was raised: could they be bred on a farm? Some began to maintain them in backyards, more out of curiosity than intent. Soon, the experiments were more formalized activities. Some universities and agriculture departments teamed up with locals to create breeding protocols. The initial efforts were tentative. The farmers constructed quiet, shaded enclosures, replicating the conditions under the forest canopy. Some of them failed. The animals were too sensitive, too shy, but others, with patience and time, found something remarkable: that when bred in tranquil, controlled conditions, mouse deer could acclimatize. They could breed in captivity. They could survive. The farmers who once relied on forest hunting began to earn a better income by keeping them legally. A few even diversified their farms by keeping mouse deer with chickens or rabbits. Mouse deer farming was gradually turning into a sustainable source of livelihood, and so a new form of agriculture was formed: the attraction of mouse deer meat. Why in the world would someone take such efforts to raise such a delicate and small animal? The reason is value. Mouse deer meat, though rare, is highly prized in most cultures. It's typically described as tasting between venison and rabbit, rich, tender, and clean. It can command over $100 per kilo in fine dining or among cultures that hold it as a traditional food. Restaurants that offer mouse deer dishes put them on their menu as seasonal or specialty dishes. It is also a ceremonial wedding or feast luxury dish in certain locations. It is that exclusivity that gives the product prestige and profitability. Other than flavor, there is also medicinal and cultural value. In a few Southeast Asian cultures, mouse deer meat is restorative, especially to regain strength after illness or childbirth. Though lacking evidence with current science, such beliefs continue to drive demand. For the farmers, that means good buyers and high returns. And because the animals are small, it is not costly to feed and maintain them compared to big livestock. It's a high-margin business, if done properly. In addition, there is a second reason: exclusivity. Since mouse deer cannot be accessed through traditional livestock channels, the sole legal and guaranteed means of accessing the meat is by cultivation. Licensed farms are therefore now at the center of a low-volume, high-value business catering to niche markets. The rearing of mouse deer rearing is different from goat or chicken rearing. The animals need a different approach altogether. Above all, they are stress phobic. The noise of loud sounds, alterations in their environment, and strangers can all trigger panic or even lethal reactions. Agricultural environments thus need to be marked by peacefulness, seclusion, and a structure that will minimize human disturbance. They also require shade and humidity, which is a reflection of their native forest habitat. Farmers provide cover by planting bushes or palm fronds in enclosures. Regulation of temperature is also required, as the mouse deer does not appreciate heat spikes or cold winds. The enclosures are usually shaded and covered with vegetation. The objective is to replicate a forest-like setting. Mouse deer browse and never graze, and as such, they eat leaves, fruits, shoots, and herbs. Farmers like to offer them locally available vegetables such as banana stems, guava leaves, and wild greens. The daily management routines are well thought out, including feeding routines, restricted handling, and acclimatization to human touch in graduated stages. Farmers also check fecal, feeding, and posture to identify early indicators of disease. Preventative health is critical, as the options for treatment are few. Breeding is also a delicate process. Mouse deer are solitary creatures. They are aggressive males, so the farms normally keep them separated. Females give birth to one young at a time, and the young is well developed, standing and walking within a few hours. Problems in the domestication of wild fauna. Though there is growing interest and profitability, mouse deer farming is seriously demanding. But most of all, they are not domesticated. They are not chickens or cows, selectively bred for thousands of years for some attractive trait such as docility or rapid growth. That makes them potentially still unpredictable or even very fragile. They are very intolerant of routine change. Even something as small as a new attendant or switching the type of feed will stress them. Some farms have lost entire breeding lines to sudden environmental change or disease. It's a risky business. Disease is also a problem. Mouse deer could be infected by parasites, starvation, or disease caused by stress. They are difficult to diagnose and treat, and few veterinarians specialize in such rare species. The veterinary care has to be adjusted from procedures used in animals of similar sizes, say rabbits or miniature antelopes. Since there are no standardized vaccines for mouse deer, farmers typically rely on a mix of traditional and modern practices. Prevention is the best medicine. And then there is the issue of behavior. Mouse deer are escape artists. They will leap very high, slip under very small openings, and vanish into any available cover. Farmers must invest in secure enclosures and around-the-clock monitoring, a conservation or commercialization tool. This is where the argument becomes tricky. Is mouse deer farming a conservation success story, or is it another form of animal exploitation? On the other hand, mouse deer farming has undoubtedly reduced pressure on the wild population due to hunting. The availability of legally hunted mouse deer meat from licensed farms has reduced the incentive for poaching. Farming can therefore be utilized to save wild populations. It also makes it possible for scientists to observe their behavior, biology, and reproduction in ways that are not possible in the wild. Useful information regarding disease resistance, gestation, and diet has come straight from farms. That information can be applied to inform wildlife management programs. Some agricultural businesses partner with conservation groups in conducting research into reproductive patterns, genetic differences, and disease conditions, who help provide the body of knowledge relevant to rewilding schemes or habitat conservation. But critics worry that commercialization could lead to inbreeding, poor living conditions, or shortcuts that harm the animals. As more farms go online, ensuring there is ethical treatment will become a bigger concern. Regulation and oversight will be the solution. The problem of black markets is also a major issue. Among several places, an increase in agricultural production has created a demand that is still met by illegal poaching, especially where agricultural activity is not regulated adequately. A model for the future. Though there are obstacles, mouse deer farming is taking off, not only as a specialty industry, but as an example of what sustainable, small-scale livestock production might entail. They take up little space. They do not emit methane, so they have a much smaller carbon footprint than sheep or cows. They're fed locally available natural plants. And since they're so quiet and clean, they can even be produced in semi-urban settings. For nations facing deforestation, food shortages, and rural unemployment, farming mouse deer is an attractive option. It encourages biodiversity, decreases pressure on natural ecosystems, and derives income without massive infrastructure. For smallholder farmers, it offers a special opportunity, a valuable product that demands little land and feed. For governments, it provides an opportunity to support conservation agriculture farming and improve rural incomes. For consumers, it brings diversity and choice to the meat market, particularly as demand increases for ethical, environmentally friendly food. Training and education will be necessary to grow the model without losing any of its quality. Pilot schemes, farm schools, and technology-facilitated breeding schemes are already being considered. There's a huge potential, and only just starting to be tapped. The history of mouse deer farming is not merely an odd anecdote about small creatures. It's a window into the future, a future in which farming is smaller, smarter, and more attuned to the natural world. In an era when the world food system is under strain, innovations such as this remind us that there is still space for innovative, moral solutions. And sometimes these come from the very least expected locations. The mouse deer might be small, but its influence is increasing. It challenges us to reimagine what agriculture can be, to envision a world where conservation and agriculture move hand in hand. If this documentary has been helpful to you, don't forget to like it. Subscribe to our channel for more unheard and extraordinary farming stories from across the globe. And share this video with someone who has faith in big ideas coming in small, quiet footsteps. Together, let's bring light to forgotten species, enable sustainable farmers, and foster a healthier relationship between people and the planet. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.